If a strange man in a van offers you some candy, don't worry about the man. Don't worry about the van. Worry about the candy. Little Timmy didn't, and now he's floating through the cold void of space right now. Michael should have worried too. He was a physically fit jogger in his early 30s until hikers found him writhing in agony on the train, almost every bone in his body shattered. In the hospital bed, pumped full of morphine, he was just able to whisper 4 words. "It was the candy." And sadly, this strange phenomenon affects more than just the people who eat the candy. In Colombia, dozens dead and hundreds writhing in hospitals with burns and radiation sickness. The mass casualty event was dismissed as a reactor meltdown at an undisclosed nuclear facility. What on earth is happening here? Surely the kind of candy that could unleash such extreme effects would attract the attention of the SCP Foundation. Well, it did, but that's where our story begins, not ends. While the deadly candy known as SCP-1916 is a fascinating case in its own right, it's even more compelling as a doorway into the mysterious and dangerous world of anomalous candy. And who better to be your anomalous candyman than your dear researcher friend, DrBob? But before we get to the wider world of anomalous candies, let's refocus on SCP-1916, the sweet treat that caused the strange events I described in the opening. These are collections of individually wrapped jawbreaker-like hard candies created by a company you may have heard of, Dr. Wondertainment, an infamous Foundation group of interest and purveyor of anomalous candies and toys. How exactly they created this anomaly is still a mystery. For the most part, the candies are made out of sugar and preservatives, harmful for your teeth but little else. The secret ingredient that seems to imbue these confections with anomalous effects is privileged information redacted from the official files, but the nature of the effects themselves are more than clear. These candies, each themed after a planet, recreate the effects of that planet's gravitational force and occasionally even their atmospheres for anyone who eats them. These effects aren't permanent, that's an important fact to be aware of. The effects only tend to last for about 90 minutes. Unless a person suffers harm during that 90-minute window, the effects will leave no trace. Unless. That word is doing a lot of heavy lifting, as you'll soon discover. The most reliable information the Foundation has comes from a shipment of jawbreakers intercepted en route to a retailer. Inside, there was some official ad copy from the Dr. Wondertainment company.
Hey there, space cadets. Can't wait until you're old enough to go to outer space for real? Dr. Wondertainment is here for you. Dr. Wondertainment's Zero-Gee-Whiz moon rocks are guaranteed to give you the closest thing to being a real live astronaut. Enjoy hours of high-tech hijinks as you explore the gardens of Venus and sail the seas of the moon, all in your own backyard. Each package of Dr. Wondertainment's Zero-Gee-Whiz moon rocks contains 6 different flavors for a real out-of-this-world experience. Martian cherry. Explore the canals of the red planet in style. Venusian berry. Dip beneath the clouds of our closest neighbor. Be careful, the air down there is thicker than water. Lunar lime. Is the moon really made of green cheese? You'll find out when you're only 1/6 your regular weight. Jovian jelly. Take a swim in the great red spot on the biggest planet of them all. Outer space strawberry. Find out what it's really like in outer space, the Zero-Gee-Whiz way. Planet X. What's it like on the undiscovered planets? You'll have to try it to find out. Disclaimer, not for outdoors use. Do not consume more than one Dr. Wondertainment Zero-Gee-Whiz moonrock every 4 hours. Do not consume in conjunction with Dr. Wondertainment's Ultra Fizz Diet Phosphate. Your definition of hijinks may vary from that used by Dr. Wondertainment. Dr. Wondertainment is not responsible for any injury, accident, illness, or death resulting from misuse of Dr. Wondertainment Zero-Gee-Whiz moonrocks.
And it turns out they've got a good reason for those extravagant disclaimers. The Foundation did several tests on each of the anomalous jawbreakers to explore the true extent of their effects. Researchers found that, unsurprisingly, they were a lot more dangerous and unpredictable than Dr. Wondertainment's whimsical ad copy would suggest. Let's take a look, shall we? The first of the candies, believed to be Martian cherry, which was a uniform shade of bright red, was tested on a male D-class weighing 76.2 kilograms. After consuming the Martian cherry jawbreaker, the subject's weight was 28.6 kilograms, which is roughly consistent with the reduction in weight that would come from being subjected to Martian gravity. And just so you're not lost here, allow me to take a very brief sidebar to teach you some physics. What? I am a scientist, after all. Unless someone takes a chainsaw to you, your mass is fundamental and constant. It's the quantity of matter that makes up your being. So, whether you're in the crushing depths of the Marianas Trench or far up in the vacuum of space, your mass will be the same. Weight, on the other hand, is the expression of gravitational force on the body. That's the difference, you see, quantity versus force. So, when you eat one of these anomalous candies and it takes effect, you won't display any visual changes. Your mass remains the same. It just affects the degree to which gravity can affect your body. The next candy tested was Venusian Berry, which was light beige with whitish streaks. It was tested on a D-class who weighed 48 kilograms. The gravitational effect was a lot more minor, bringing the D-class's weight down to around 43 kilograms. But the secondary effects were a great deal more extreme. Adjusting to the atmosphere of Venus takes a certain brutal toll on the body. This led to severe decompression sickness that left the D-class stone dead within 6 hours. After an autopsy, the cause of death was found to be something resembling high-altitude cerebral edema, a potentially lethal swelling of the brain in high altitude. Given that human beings have actually been to the moon and survived, it stands to reason that the lunar lime, mostly uniform white with a few dark markings like craters, might be less hazardous to the consumer's health. A D-class who weighed 104.3 kilograms was given one of these candies, and immediately, his weight reduced to 16.6 kilograms. But the lowered effects of lunar gravity also gave him stupendous physical abilities. To measure the limits of this anomaly, researchers escorted him to a secured outdoor testing area. He was able to run abnormally fast and to lift extremely heavy weights. Next, the Foundation wanted to test the D-class's jumping abilities, and that's where everything went wrong. He took a running start, jumped, and flew up into the sky too fast to be stopped. He reached the outer layers of Earth's atmosphere at exit velocity. He is now assumed dead. Clearly, lowered gravity has its unique risks, but the same is also true of increased gravity, the kind you'd expect when consuming Jovian jelly. This is made of several horizontal streaks colored orange and white. There are several small white and red spots, including a single large red spot meant to replicate the Great Red Spot, the eternal megastorm raging on the gaseous surface of Jupiter. It increased the D-class's weight from 117.9 kilograms to 298 kilograms, well in excess of 600 pounds, a weight that would typically earn you a place on a sleazy reality television show. Here, the subject felt intense pain, and while attempting to move, he suffered multiple arm and leg fractures. This was a far more unpleasant experience than the D-class made to try the outer space strawberry, which was as black as deep space itself. In addition to being delicious, it allowed the D-class to float freely, completely unleashed from the oppression of gravity. And because the Foundation had learned their lesson from the lunar lime incident, they made sure to conduct this test in an indoor environment, with a firm roof overhead. After the 90 minutes had elapsed, everything was fine. The same, sadly, could not be said of the D-class made to try the Planet X candy, which was uniform black, with a white question mark symbol on it. Perhaps there was never going to be an entirely safe way to test an anomalous candy that would recreate the conditions of an unknown planet, but even with that in mind, it's safe to say that this incident was particularly disastrous. The subject quite literally exploded in a burst of concentrated gamma radiation, the most lethal end of the electromagnetic spectrum. 82 people died from acute radiation poisoning, while another 438 required immediate medical treatment simply for being nearby. Given the inert nature of this SCP, it's given the safe class, with the instructions to collect up any stray samples of SCP-1916 for storage in a Site-85 warehouse. There's even a whole task force, Mobile Task Force Xi-1964, or Slugworth Sizzlers, devoted to removing them from circulation. But that isn't how this story ends. It often transpires that when researching into the files of different anomalies, my vast knowledge of the anomalous world allows me to make novel connections between one anomaly and another. The nature of SCP-1916 reminded me a great deal of another form of chaotic confectionery that's proven a matter of great interest to the SCP Foundation. I am speaking, of course, about SCP-261, the Pandimensional vending machine. This anomalous vending machine can dispense candies, snacks, and beverages from a variety of different dimensions to unpredictable effects. And as I mentioned earlier, you're here for the classified files on interdimensional candies, so let's examine some of the strangest products dispensed by SCP-261 that the Foundation has documented. So please, come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure investigation. On the more mild end, there are candies like the Spice Bomb, a small red gumball with Japanese characters on the packaging. While the bomb part of the name is thankfully an exaggeration, the spice part definitely isn't. It created such an intense spicy flavor that the researcher who made the questionable decision to try it himself needed to pause the experiment to vomit and take some powerful antacids. On the more admittedly kind of awesome side of things, there are anomalous confections like Build-Your-Own Candy Bots. This is a small bag of Pez-style hard candy formed into various mechanical pieces. This allows you to form them together into small but anomalously functional robots, which will fight each other when you build more than one. The packaging is in a language that nobody can identify. The candy bots can be eaten with no adverse effects to the eater, aside from most people finding them a little too sweet. Feel free to build up and chow down if you find them. Then there's the reverse temperature cream puff, which may cause some controversy in our comments as to where the concept of a pastry ends and a candy begins. What's extremely strange about this anomalous snack is that its temperature becomes the inverse of whatever extreme it's placed in. While it seems completely normal at room temperature, if placed in extreme heat, such as fire, it causes the cream puff to become extremely cold. And if placed in a freezer, the cream puff is liable to set on fire. As for its taste, anyone who's eaten it has described it as fine, but maybe a little stale. If you find you're someone who's frequently in too much of a hurry to sit down and really savor your snacks, you might appreciate thiotimoline cookies. These are individually plastic-wrapped cookies that you'll actually be able to taste 3 seconds before you put the cookie into your mouth. For the brave and foolhardy, you might enjoy the idea of the caramelized tarantula. Yes, this is exactly what it sounds like. A huge tarantula with a 13-inch leg span cooked in delicious caramel. And that's one meal that you should really savor because it might just be your last. Foundation research has shown that the tarantula still contains some extremely potent toxins. Toxins that could make you just as dead as the spider you just ate. On the more wholesome end, there's Fruits of the Loom underwear, a pack of 3 edible underwear that were immediately confiscated by the SCP-1916 research supervisors for unknown reasons. We can only assume that those supervisors had some wonderful nights not long after. A number of the candies produced by the Pandimensional vending machine are physically impossible under the laws of reality in our world, but are silly and quirky rather than frightening and dangerous. One of these is a type of cookie playfully named Sound Bites. They're cookies shaped like onomatopoeia words that make the sound they're shaped like when eaten. For example, one that says bark will make the sound of a dog barking. One that says bang might make the sound of a gunshot, hardly a stress-free eating experience. Speaking of gunshots, there were also candy bullets with an exclamation point. These 9mm bullets are made of hard rock candy and are harmless when eaten, and yet they can also function perfectly as normal bullets. When struck by one of these bullets, the victim suffers the expected ballistic trauma, along with a strong taste and smell of peppermint. So that's a yummy consolation prize, at least. These are similar to the shotgun shells of Tannhauser edible weaponry, functional and edible shotgun shells that taste like a mix of chocolate and banana. Speaking of ostensible candies that can cause you great harm, there's also Pile o' Slugs. And yes, that's exactly what it sounds like, a literal pile of slugs in a box, similar to the kind used to hold strawberries. These slugs aren't completely devoid of nutritional value, though. They contain unusually high amounts of several key vitamins, and also large amounts of arsenic, too. No candy is perfect, after all. Though, honestly, I'd perhaps take my chances with the arsenic over the turdochakan, described as a ball of fried turkey containing a ball of fried chicken, which in turn contained a ball of chocolate. That really just feels like it shouldn't work, and I'll leave finding out whether it does to D-Class personnel. One that's a little more disturbing is a plastic pill bottle which has a cartoon of a child eating a rat on the front. If you take one of the pills inside and give it to a rat, the rat's flesh will slowly transform into edible gummy candy. So if you've ever wanted to eat a rat but worried about the diseases, this interdimensional candy was made for your incredibly peculiar tastes. These next ones aren't dangerous like some of the others, but do carry a certain morally ambiguous quality to them. These creatures, equal parts candy and entity, are the eat-me's, small multi-legged creatures that skitter around begging, "Eat me, eat me," until of course you do, and as you're eating them, they'll yell and scream with joy. To be devoured is the culmination of their life's purpose, so we suppose you should be happy for them in this. But if you're having trouble feeling happy on your own, you'd be better off consuming some jelly joy beans, assorted emotions. These are exactly what the name implies. Jelly beans in a variety of colors that, depending on the color you eat, can alter your emotions. In terms of the colors, red is joy, blue is sadness, pink is sexual arousal, yellow is fear, green is anger, and purple is jealousy. Which one would you pick? Please let me know in the comments. In a manner similar to our beloved candy bots, there are also candy commandos, similar to classic toy soldiers made out of hard candy. These soldiers, when removed from the packaging, will independently begin to battle each other using advanced military tactics and weaponry. And once their battle is completed, they'll all become inert. The Foundation reports that they taste of peppermint. Delicious. Far more bizarre and frightening is a candy labeled caramels, as in the word caramels without any vowels. They look and taste like normal caramels, however, after consuming them, subjects have a hard time pronouncing words. Then, the next day, the person wakes up and finds that their teeth and tongue are gone. Perhaps not worth it for some caramel. Then there's Colonel Crone's confession candy, a candy with a name that's as sinister as its effect. When you eat it, you'll begin to involuntarily divulge incriminating information about yourself. Every time you eat more pieces of candy, you'll begin to share more incriminating information. This resulted in a Foundation researcher losing his standing among colleagues after sharing a few more unfortunate details from his personal life. At least he still has his teeth and tongue. But that's still quite mild compared to unsweethearts candies. These are similar but diametrically opposed to the classic sweethearts candies, except that the phrases on them are more indicative of being in the middle of an acrimonious divorce. Phrases like, "I drink to forget you," and "You are the reason for my restraining order." And this gives more than just bad feelings. Each candy contains a fatal dose of cyanide. On the more innocent end, there's the Russian nesting Twinkie. This is exactly what it sounds like, a Twinkie that when you squeeze it, a slightly smaller Twinkie is ejected from it. You can do this 5 times for 5 Twinkies of increasingly smaller size. A perfect snack for when you have the kind of hunger that only 5 Twinkies in decreasing size will satisfy. But that's nowhere near as peculiar as the Philosopher's Scone, an anomalous candy where they absolutely figured out the name first before the rest fell into place. The scones have a slogan on their packaging that says, "Good for 30 more minutes." After eating one of them, you won't feel all that different until you die. That's because the Philosopher's Scone will afford you 30 minutes of life after sustaining a fatal wound, even if the wound should be immediately fatal, like being on the receiving end of both barrels of a shotgun. You'd be amazed what you could achieve in 30 minutes. And appropriately, we couldn't conclude this list without revealing that yet another Dr. Wondertainment candy was also dispensed by the Pandimensional vending machine, Dr. Wondertainment's Amazing Bursto Bubbles. This is an anomalous bubblegum that seems harmless when normally consumed, but if you happen to blow a bubble with it, the second this bubble bursts, the resulting blast will be enough to give you and everyone around you a concussion. So next time you find a strange candy in a store, or offered by a friendly man in a trench coat from the driver's seat of a white panel van, take a moment to consider what you're putting into your mouth. You don't know where it came from, and you don't know what'll happen to you afterwards. Check out the DrBob Patreon and become a junior researcher today. Now go and watch another entry from the files of DrBob, like SCP-1550, Dr. Wondertainment's Custom Pets, Top 12 SCP Animals compilation.